Take three. Take three, everybody out there on YouTube. I hope some of you will find me. This is my third try at making this video because my microphone was not working earlier. And hopefully I'm not going to just be talking to myself, but I think I have fixed the problem. I tested it out myself. It was recording the very last time I tried to record, so I think it's working now. If you come in, if you find this live stream, please let me know if you can hear me. I think that I have troubleshot the problem. Oh, thank goodness. Thank you, Carol. Because everybody, this is take three. My previous 2 attempts, the microphone wasn't working. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much, everybody. Hopefully everybody that was waiting for the 12 p.m. live stream will find us here at 12:30. Okay. A little bit of housekeeping. In case anyone is stumbling upon this video or this channel for the very first time and you have no idea who I am, my name is Amy Berger and my motto is, keto without the crazy. Keto without the crazy. If you would like to grab yourself some pretty swag, some sweet keto without the crazy merch, I do have a merch store. I will put a link in the chat in a second, but we have shirts. This is like a very comfy, yes, I know it's July and I would not normally wear a long sleeve shirt like this. I'm just showing you. We also have snazzy coffee mugs. And you can customize the color. If you don't want a black mug, you can get a red one, a blue one, whatever. We have like t-shirts, sweatshirts, tote bags, all that good stuff. So let me drop a link to the merch store. Where did I put it? One sec. Now it's going to take me a second to get it because I'm all discombobulated from how, unsettling and aggravating it was before when my microphone wasn't working. Here is the merch store. Oh, I'll tell you, I'm just glad the sound is working again. Okay, here is the merch store. Okay. Now, so yes, I am a low carb and keto nutritionist and writer. I've been at this for quite a while, long before social media as we know it exists. So I think that I have a fair bit of experience, eating this way myself and helping others to do it. So this is an AMA, Ask Me Anything. But when I say ask me anything, I mean about ketogenic diets, low carb diets, carnivore diets, health and nutrition in general, physiology and metabolism. You can ask me other questions, but I may or may not answer if they are unrelated to this stuff. So, the floor is open. That's why I'm here. I'm not here for my health, although I do keto for my health. I'm here for you. I want to answer your questions. If you are wondering about something, or there's an issue you're struggling with, having a problem with, or if you're not having problems, if you're doing great and you want all of us on YouTube Live to celebrate and cheer you on, maybe you lost 10 or 20 or 50 pounds, or maybe you've been able to reduce or stop your diabetes medicine or whatever. So I am here for all of it. And just to call your attention to one more thing, I have a pinned comment. Adapt Your Life Academy, we put together a free guide all about the carnivore diet. It's a basic intro, but it is free. So if you are what I call carnivore curious, you want to learn a little bit more about this crazy thing where you don't eat any vegetables, not even a leaf of lettuce, you just eat animal foods, then do please click on that link and download the free guide. Okay, I am so glad that the sound finally works. You have no idea. Jake is asking, am I married? I am not married. Shantae is asking, what's your definition of ketovore? Well, I will be honest with you all. I don't like the word ketovore. I think it's stupid. I think it was coined by Nisha Berry, Dr. Ken Berry's wife, or maybe Dr. Berry coined it himself. I love both of them. I think they are both wonderful humans. I just don't like the word ketovore because ketovore is just keto. As far as I understand it, ketovore is like somebody who eats mostly carnivore, but with a little bit of vegetable or nuts or plant foods. And so to me, that's just keto. Like, why did we need a new word for it? So that's my definition of it. I don't know what Nisha or Dr. Berry's definition of it would be, but I don't know why we needed a new word for it. So, but okay, to each their own. Oh, oh, Dr. Mercola. Lauren's asking, well, she's not asking anything. She's saying something about Dr. Mercola. I used to follow Dr. Mercola quite a long time ago before he went completely batshit wacko. For every single problem you have, Dr. Mercola has his own branded personal solution. He is making a crap ton of money off of your fear and your anxiety and your terror. If you listen to him and his ilk, there is nothing safe to eat. There's nowhere safe to go. There's no molecule of air that's safe to breathe. There's no water that's safe to drink. You might as well just starve to death. I mean, that is where we are with him and a handful of other very, very unfortunately very influential people that are making a crap ton of money profiting and profiteering off of your fear. So I would take anything that Mercola says with a huge grain of salt. And frankly, I would unsubscribe and unfollow altogether. Why even participate in it? That's my opinion. And I rarely speak that strongly about other people. And again, I learned a lot from Dr. Mercola like 20 years ago, 25 years ago, not so much now. So, oh, good. Lauren agrees. Yeah. Mm. Beefy is saying, can I touch on my hair loss and why it happened? Beefy is scared of that happening on Ketovore. Yeah. So anyone looking at me is like, Amy has plenty of hair. What is this person talking about with hair loss? This is a hair piece. This is not my real hair. And somebody once said, well, Amy, you bought the hair piece. It's your hair. Well, yeah, it's my hair in the sense that I own it, but it's not my actual hair on my head. My hair loss, I do believe, so I have experienced very dramatic hair loss over the last several years. I don't think it was from my diet because at no point was I like radically under eating or starving myself or doing excessive fasting or excessive exercise. So I don't think that it's a dietary issue, and I've spent quite a bit of money on supplements, on serums, on all kinds of stuff, and nothing has helped. Nothing. I've been very open about how passionate I am about thyroid. So I am fairly convinced that my hair loss is probably thyroid related. However, even when most or all of my other thyroid symptoms are gone, like I'm on thyroid medicine, so when the dose is sort of modulated optimally, the hair loss never stopped, even when the other symptoms went away. I still think it's thyroid related, but I don't know. My point, and I do plan to do a much more detailed video about hair loss. I did one years ago, but we are long overdue for an update. But for me, I don't believe that this was diet induced. So for anyone out there, you can lose hair if you lose a lot of weight, and particularly if you lose that weight relatively rapidly. But this is a known phenomenon. It's called telogen effluvium. It's a scientific word for stress-induced hair loss. And if you're losing weight and you're feeling great, you might not think you're stressed out. You're like, this is the greatest thing ever. You don't feel stressed out, but releasing that much weight in a short period of time is a physiological stressor internally to your body. And your body's like, we're freaking out. Hair is going to shed. What typically happens is once your weight stabilizes or the weight loss kind of slows, the hair should grow back. And sometimes it will grow back even healthier, but it depending on why, and that is not unique to keto. That is a known phenomenon that can happen when you lose weight with whatever method you try. There's a lot of other hormonal things that go into hair loss, under eating, but so I think a ketovore diet or a carnivore or ketogenic diet by itself should not induce hair loss, except if you are losing a lot of weight. Again, that is a known thing that happens with weight loss, and it is not unique to keto or carnivore or any of that. Jake says, can I buy your items in Colombia? That I don't know. I guess you could try and see what happens. I don't know if it's international. I'm going to have to find out. Thank you for being interested. I'm honored that you want the merchandise. I'll post another link to that in a minute or two so people can see it. Oh, Lauren said she did unsubscribe from Mercola. Good. Beefy says, do I plan to add carbs to address thyroid issues? No, I don't. I am not ultra strict keto all the time. I'm much more low carb. Now I am in ketosis a fair bit. I do check now and then, and I am in ketosis a fair amount of the time, but I really don't think that my thyroid stuff was induced by keto. I can't say for sure, but again, I've never been one to like overly restrict or to do things that I would think would have caused this. So why did it happen? I don't know. But I know there is some concern out there that ketogenic diets can mess with thyroid function. I don't think that was the case for me. Let's see. Platte River Keto is asking my thoughts on raising GLP-1 levels naturally using allulose or yerba mate. Yeah, so everyone, I am not familiar with yerba mate having this effect, but allulose, most of you have probably heard of that. It's a non-sugar sweetener that is very popular, and it's being sort of promoted by a lot of the very well-known scientists and researchers in the keto field. In fact, a lot of them are actually on the scientific board for a company that makes allulose sweetened products. I'm aware of the research that suggests that allulose can either sort of act like a GLP-1 agonist drug, or that it will, induce higher levels of your body's own natural GLP-1. I don't recall what the doses used were, like how much allulose would you have to use? Because allulose is not cheap. So how much now? It's probably cheaper than a GLP-1 drug if it's not covered by your insurance, but I don't, how much would you have to take and how strong is the effect? Because if the effect is like not that strong, then what's the point? And allulose so far appears to be totally benign, possibly even beneficial, like there's no adverse effects, but it's relatively new being used in the quantities it's being used now. And I'm just a little bit hesitant to be wanting to use large amounts of this over a long period of time. I'm not saying it's unsafe. I'm saying, what don't we know yet? It seems to have like come out of nowhere almost, and all of a sudden it's everywhere. And maybe there's just some unknowns that will come up over time. I don't know. I mean, certainly, people like Ben Bickman, Dom D'Agostino, Nick Norwitz, if they think allulose is the bee's knees, as we say here in the US, or it's great, I'd probably trust that. I mean, there are some pretty smart people, but I'm not sure. I would want to revisit the research, and again, sort of how much would you have to use and how strong is the effect? Let's see. Lauren says, what do I check, or what do I use to check ketosis? I measure blood. I measure my blood ketones, and I also check my urine sometimes. And I know you may have heard that, urine ketone strips are not accurate or they stop working after you've been on keto for a while. For me, they still work. If they don't work for you, use some other method. You know, I don't I measure more out of curiosity. I am not using like a therapeutic medical ketogenic diet to try to, treat or um, manage a serious medical condition. I eat low carb because I just enjoy it, and I think it helps me like not, balloon up like I was when I was younger. So I don't need to check ketones. I have no like pressing requirement to be checking. I just like to see it. I don't check every day. I don't check like 20 times a day, but um, there's a lot of issues with the urine strips that I can see why some people don't use them, but they are accurate for some people. So, okay, lots of good questions here. I'm going to skip around, but I'll try to get to everything. Oh, Platte River Keto has the same hesitation I have about allulose. Yeah, I mean, and just I hate to be like a Luddite and be scared of something just because it's new, but you know, I'd like to see a little more long-term stuff. And allulose occurs naturally. It is a naturally occurring form of sugar, but it's very rare. Like the amounts, I think it's in jackfruit. I think it's maybe in raisins or maple syrup. Like, don't quote me on this. I'm pretty sure jackfruit is one of them. It's allulose does occur naturally, but again, in minuscule amounts. So we've never really before been consuming it in the quantities people might be consuming it now, and in this like isolated, concentrated form where it's like a white refined powder. It's not like corn syrup is natural because it comes from corn, right? Or like allulose is natural, erythritol is natural, but these are big bags of white powder. So I'm just a little hesitant about it. Jennifer says, when I say low carb, what do I mean and up to what amounts? And what is an example of a low carb meal versus keto? So I it's I don't define it by any specific numbers. I don't track my food. I don't weigh and measure my food. I don't count carb grams. In the book that I wrote with Dr. Westman, End Your Carb Confusion, we have uh, under 20 total grams of carbs a day, not net carbs, under 20 total grams is our strict keto. But everybody's different. Some people can have 40, 50, 60 grams of carbs a day and still be in ketosis. It really just depends on your individual carb tolerance and your activity level and everything. So, what one person has to do to maintain ketosis is not the same as what somebody else needs to do to maintain ketosis. So for me, low carb could mean where I am not concerned at all if I'm eating a lot of vegetables, like where the total carbohydrate would kind of maybe be a little high for keto, or if I'm eating slightly sweeter vegetables, something like butternut squash a little bit, or, like roasted beets are so delicious. If you've only had canned beets or boiled beets, you got to roast some beets because it's like, so stuff like that. It's not that I'm eating, you know, tubs of popcorn or, a family size bag of chips or like pancakes and cereal and juice for breakfast. It's not that. It could be like, I actually really love hummus and not cauliflower keto hummus, like real hummus. I'm not going to feel bad if I'm eating some chickpeas. So, can I eat a lot of that and still be happy with how things are going? No, but I can have a little bit. But I can't really give you an exact amount of carbohydrate, but it just might be like I'm just not micromanaging every little bit, and I'm not worried if trying to think of some other vegetable that would be a good example. Just I'm not worried if something's going to like throw me out of ketosis. Um uh, Gina says, I took the original keto class. She means from Adapt Your Life Academy. Over time, I've drifted to less carbs, to more carnivore, or maybe ketovore. Thinking about taking the new carnivore class. Any discounts for alumni or members? Yes. If anyone watching happens to be a member of our subscription membership at Adapt Your Life, you always get a discount on every course. We will send you information about that as it gets closer to opening. So keep an eye out for the email. And they also usually offer a discount if you're not a member in our community, but you have taken one of our courses in the past. So anyone watching, if you have done some of Adapt's courses, just be patient, sit tight. As the carnivore course gets closer to opening, we will send you an email with a discount code. If you didn't know that Adapt has a carnivore course starting at the end of this month, check out the pinned comment I have here. You can download a free guide that's a basic intro to carnivore, but I will post a link to the actual course in the chat. Give me a second to bring it up. Because now the course is not available yet. It opens for enrollment July 28th. But if you sign up for the wait list, we can keep you in the loop and we can like send you reminders. And as soon as it opens, we'll send you an email so that you don't miss it. So here is the, and this page that I'm going to link to has all the details. So if you want to see each lesson, we actually describe what each lesson is all about, all the resources you're going to get, the support. We get 2 weeks of support. 2 weeks of dedicated support from Dr. Westman, me, our whole team, and those of you that are familiar with Laura Spath. She's very, very well known in the carnivore world. She is actually going to do a guest live session for us. So that's pretty awesome. So here is the carnivore course. And again, it doesn't open until July 28th, but if you put yourself on the wait list, that will guarantee you a spot, but it doesn't obligate you to buy the course. So if you'd like to kind of reserve your spot just in case, sign up for the wait list, because you don't actually get charged for anything until you buy it. So if you're kind of not sure, sign up for the wait list anyway, because you're not under any obligation just being on the list. All right. Let me. Little reminder about the merch store. Do you want some keto without the crazy swag? Let me drop a link to the merch store again. Here we go. Oops. Oh my God, I can't type today. What is going on? Boy. Okay, there's the merch store. Let me get back to the questions. Yeah, everyone, just in case someone's here who like doesn't really know me or Adapt, when I talk about this carnivore course or Adapt Your Life or Adapt Your Life Academy, it's a company that I work for that was started by Dr. Eric Westman, who's a keto OG, really well known in the field. And we do online courses, mostly about ketogenic diets and diabetes, but we just, we're putting the finishing touches, wrapping up the bow on a course all about carnivore. We have courses about sugar and food addiction. We have a course on keto for cancer. So you can visit, let me see, I will put the all courses page here actually, so you can see exactly what we have. You can look and see all the different courses that Adapt has available. Okay, back to the questions. Lauren says, can I buy the keto strips in a store? You can buy the urine strips at most grocery stores or most drugstores, at least in the US, or you can obviously get anything online. You can't, the blood strips, you probably have to get online, and depending on what meter you have to buy the right strips for that meter if you're measuring blood. But urine, you can usually find the urine ketone test strips in a drugstore. Like if you're in the US, Walgreens, CVS, those places. Even at supermarkets, look for them in the diabetes supplies. In the diabetes supplies section is where you'll find them. Or if you're not sure where to find it, ask the pharmacist. They'll be able to tell you where they are. Yeah, okay, thank you. There's a couple of people commenting in the chat that the urine strips still work for them too. Lauren says, "How do you feel about black seeded watermelon?" Well, watermelon is pretty high in carbs, but it's literally mostly water. It's called watermelon. So the glycemic index of watermelon is pretty high, but the glycemic load is very low, meaning you have to eat a lot of watermelon to really have a negative impact, but everybody's different. If you're concerned, you can test it. If you measure your blood sugar, eat some and see how you do with it. But I think if you're including watermelon and you're happy with how you feel and with the results you're getting, then it's fine. I've never been a keto zealot like some of these, like we were talking about earlier, these influencers that literally make you terrified of every freaking food item that's out there. Oh, peaches are poison and spinach is killing you. Like if there's something that you've been eating and you're doing well, then it's not a problem for you. And I know people who maybe feel best with strict keto, but they make allowances for certain things like seasonally this time of year. Maybe you want some watermelon in the middle of summer, or you want like a fresh peach, local farmers market kind of thing. And it's like so delicious and sweet because it hasn't been sitting on a shelf for 6 months somewhere. Um, and you just have to ask yourself, is that a trade-off I'm willing to make? If I might suffer some issue because of eating this food, am I willing to deal with that issue because I love it and it's so enjoyable and I only have it for like a couple of weeks out of the year? That's totally acceptable. Beefy. I wish I knew if you were a male or a female because I say Beefy is asking. I can't say, he or she, but that's okay. Beefy is asking, thoughts on carnivore long term, or is it more suitable for an elimination style diet, then move to more ketovore? I think, Beefy's male. Thank you. It's really an individual thing. If I would prefer for people to use it as a temporary intervention and then broaden things into a more flexible diet. But if somebody loves carnivore, if they feel best eating that way, and if they don't miss vegetables, if they don't miss any other plant foods, if it's not putting a huge crimp in their social life or their family dynamics, then you can do carnivore. Like I'm not all that concerned about nutrient deficiencies. I mean, I have some reservations. I do, I'll be honest. I have some reservations about carnivore long term, but as long as somebody feels well and isn't really suffering any adverse effects, I don't think they need to introduce plant foods, but I definitely don't think everybody needs carnivore long term either. If we do think of carnivore as a strict elimination diet, which essentially is what it is. You're removing all or most of the foods that could potentially trigger issues. Then, if we think it's a corrective diet, it's an elimination protocol almost. It's like a healing protocol. Once you're healed, do you need to keep healing? Or once you're feeling much better, once everything is going well, could you maybe experiment and eat some broccoli or eat some peanuts or whatever it may be? I always use the analogy of when you break your leg, you wear a cast to like it kind of immobilize the leg and give it a chance to heal and let it rest. Once the leg is healed, you take the cast off. You don't wear the cast for the rest of your life. You don't need it anymore. Your leg is healed. So I feel that way about carnivore and even about strict keto, frankly. That's what our book End Your Carb Confusion is all about. Start with strict keto. And if you want to stay there for the rest of your life, great. But you could also absolutely experiment with adding back in small amounts of higher carb foods and see how you do. Don't you love how I give like 10-minute answers to 10-second questions? I think I got that from my dad. My father is a retired middle school science teacher. So, heaven help you if you ask some question like, oh, what kind of cloud is that? Or what kind of rock is that? Oh, be prepared for the 30-minute tutorial. I say that with love. Hmm. Um, Abba for Life says, I've got to ask, whenever I go above 30 grams of total carbs just to 35, it totally makes me so hungry and my appetite gets out of control. So is it safe to stay in ketosis forever? I think so. I don't know if we can say for certain. I think it is, again, as long as you feel well and you're not experiencing any adverse issues that could be tied to like an ultra low carbohydrate intake for years and decades at a time. But I'm very surprised when you go, I mean, an increase of 5 grams. I'm surprised that it's doing that to you, but anything is the human body is wacky and wondrous and anything is possible. But I wonder like what maybe the specific things that you're eating are triggering it and it's more so some property to that particular item versus just 5 additional grams of carbs. So I don't know. That's odd, but again, anything is possible. I think it probably safe to stay long-term ketosis as long as you feel well. Hmm. Jennifer says, carnivore did not work for me. And I tried it for a year. I had severe leg cramps. I did all the electrolytes. It didn't improve. I added Greek yogurt with some blueberries and that helped. Well, some people who do carnivore eat dairy. So, maybe it was the blueberries. It could have well been the blueberries, but a lot of people on carnivore eat cheese, yogurt, sour cream, obviously butter, ghee. But yeah, some of them do dairy products. That's an animal food, but unsweetened, unflavored. But thank you for saying that, Jennifer, because one sec. As much as I and we at Adapt will be promoting the carnivore course, not everybody needs carnivore. I'm actually planning to do a video for my YouTube channel soon called In Defense of Vegetables, because carnivore is becoming so popular now. So many people are doing it. It's almost all you see anymore on social media. It's all anyone clicks on. It's all the titles of the videos now. And I don't want anyone to think that keto isn't good enough anymore, or low carb, or even paleo. People did great on that a long time ago. So if somebody out there is doing keto or low carb or ketovore or whatever, and you're happy, it's going well, you're satisfied with the results you're getting, then you don't need carnivore. We want to, I don't really like, we want to make safe, down to earth, doable carnivore information available to people who we think might really benefit from it. We want them to know it's an option and we want them to be able to do it safely and simply, but not everybody needs carnivore. Look, we all have people in our lives that are healthy and lean and fit and happy, and they eat plant foods. So I just always really want to be clear about that, because I'm happy to teach people about carnivore. I've recommended a carnivore diet for some clients when I thought it was the most likely to be the most effective thing for them at that time. But I don't, I just don't want people to think that they're doing something wrong if they're still eating plants. Because I frankly feel better with vegetables, and I will talk about why in that video, probably in 2 weeks or so. All right, let's see. H says, I have stopped killing myself over high fiber, higher carb fruits and vegetables, and it's so much more sustainable for me. It also helps me eat seasonally and not experience so much deprivation and lack. Yeah, thank you, H. So H is like, at first I thought you were trying to say, I stopped killing myself over high fiber and fruits. Like you stopped worrying about not eating them. Like, oh, I don't have to eat fibrous vegetables and fruits. I can do carnivore. And if I'm understanding your comment correctly, it's more like I eat those things now and then because I really enjoy them. I feel less deprived, I feel less restricted, and it's all good. Yeah, yeah, a piece of fruit every now and then, some beans, a potato, like, I think a healthy body should be able to eat those foods. Maybe not, a ton of them every day, but we're in trouble if half a potato leaves us bedridden for 3 days. And I'm like, please, everyone, don't misunderstand me. I'm not trying to insult or offend anyone out there that has really severe, extreme sensitivities to plant foods. I mean, that's why we made the carnivore course to help those people. But, in my opinion, the whole point of a low carb or ketogenic diet is to help restore your health and to help restore metabolic flexibility. And for me, metabolic flexibility really means that your body can handle sort of equally well carbohydrate, higher carb, lower carb, maybe not 300 grams of carbs a day, but again, we should be able to eat a peach in the height of season. We should be able to have some strawberries. We should be able to have some hummus from time to time. And so, yeah, right on. I'm right with you, H. And that being said, again, like if somebody doesn't want to eat those, or if those foods trigger lots and lots of cravings, don't eat them. There's definitely foods that I'm better off staying away from. I can eat a little bit of hummus or even some potato now and then because it doesn't trigger me. There's other foods that do. So we all have to know ourselves and what we personally can, stay within the lane versus not. H says, "Do I have any insights about nutrition for ADHD?" Yeah, keto diets. I think keto diets, there's so much research coming out now on keto for mental health. And if we consider ADHD to sort of fall under that mental health umbrella, I think there's a lot of people who can benefit from that. And maybe not even ultra strict keto, but some form of lower carb, like a lower glycemic diet. Like anyone with ADHD should not be having frosted flakes and skim milk for breakfast. Let's put it that way. Would they need to go ultra strict keto? I don't know. That's something that they would have to experiment with, but I think it's absolutely worth trying. Uh, oh, thank you. Jennifer likes my attitude and common sense. Well, that is what keto without the crazy is all about. Hmm. Lily says, have you had a case of someone who was low carb go on hormone replacement and their labs show high TSH with symptoms of hypothyroidism? So I'm not sure. Hormone replacement, are you asking specifically about thyroid hormones or anything like testosterone, progesterone, any of that? I'm not aware. I haven't like looked into the research on these sex hormones and stuff, but I don't know that kind of hormone replacement therapy would cause hypothyroidism, but I don't know. Um Ellen says, "Oh, hey, Ellen." Ellen says keto has and low carb has really helped her sleep, and she has ADHD. That's great. Okay, Lily says thyroid. So then you're asking, have I had a case of someone who was low carb go on thyroid hormone medicine and their lab showed high T? I'm not aware of that because thyroid medicine should actually make your TSH lower and improve or resolve symptoms of hypothyroidism. However, if somebody is taking Synthroid or levothyroxine, it would not surprise me one bit if their thyroid symptoms got worse. I would be surprised if their TSH was high. I would expect their TSH to kind of be lower, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they had symptoms of low thyroid. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see. Oh yeah, Dash and Gal, this is a good point. She says, being in ketosis is excellent at treating many mental health issues. So I think it's important to remain in ketosis and be a little keto with the crazy. Yeah. I have a friend who started keto, I think, for mental health. And she kind of feels the same way. There definitely is a rationale for being in ketosis all the time and micromanaging the details, whether it's macros or measuring your ketones. Absolutely. And I did a video about this a long time ago called, I think it was like, what if you have to micromanage keto? Because I'm always talking about like, stop with the tracking and the weighing and the obsessing. But what if you have sorry, I'm trying to straighten this out. What if you have a condition that does require you to be ultra strict and manage and then do it, like do what works for you. Let me see. I can probably find that video. Here it is. What if you need to micromanage keto? Okay. Oh, Maria, thank you. Maria says I look very pretty. I appreciate that. I got to get out of this shirt. So it's so hot. What was I thinking in July? But I ordered some of my own merch to have samples to show people. And one thing I do not have, at least not yet, is a t-shirt. So it was either this just long sleeve, comfy, soft shirt or a thick sweatshirt. I have like a big, heavy sweatshirt over there. I'm not wearing, even in the air conditioning, it's still too much. So Abba for Life says, is there any evidence to say you need carbs or insulin to keep your thyroid up? I want to, yes and no. I hesitate to say, oh, I think it's an individual thing, but there are people who I think run into problems with thyroid hormones on an ultra strict ketogenic diet, and they need a little bit more carbs. But then clearly look at all the people out there doing keto and thriving who have no thyroid problem. So there's got to be at least some degree of individual variation, as to what any one person really needs to feel best. So I just, because I've definitely heard that, that the thyroid needs carbs or, the insulin stimulus every now and then. And I just, I need to look more into the research on that. Low Carb Spin says, when is your new book coming out? It's going to be a long time. I think this person is asking about the book that I'm writing, a book about thyroid. In the meantime, I'm going to post a link to a video that I did about thyroid that is very long, but very passionate and heartfelt, and hopefully very, very informative, because everything, like, this video is basically the video version of the book. The book is just going to be it's going to have a lot more of the science, a lot more of the physiology, that some people like to know. Some people don't, like, just tell me what to do, tell me what to ask my doctor for. So really, I think everything you need to know to understand all the various relevant hormones and the feedback loops and how to advocate for yourself to get the right testing and the right treatment is in this video. So please, don't wait for the book to come out. Like, watch this video. And as always, please feel free to contact me afterward if you have questions. Okay. Let's see. I'm so glad so many of you found me. Again, I had those of you who joined late or who didn't see the first two, snafus with this video. I tried to go live twice earlier today and my microphone wasn't working. I finally fixed the problem, so now it's fine. I'm just glad so many of you found me. Okay. Maria says, what about those of us that don't have lowered appetites on keto? Are we the minority? Probably. I think if you're on a ketogenic diet and you're still hungry all the time, I think you are in the minority, but um I would want to know more. Like I would this is a situation in which I would want to help somebody troubleshoot, are you doing a real true ketogenic diet or are you doing keto? Are you including a lot of foods that you think should be working well, but they're actually a lot higher in carbs than you think. So like if you're eating, mass marketed keto cereal and like zero carb bread, oops, there's a gnat in here, or like, keto ice cream. So if you're still hungry a lot, being hungry is normal. I think it's normal to get hungry at least once a day, if not 2 or 3 times. But it shouldn't be like all day, every day, like on that carb roller coaster. It should be, less frequent and less urgent. That hangry feeling, hungry plus angry, for me, hunger now, I get hungry, I do, but it comes on kind of slowly and builds almost pleasantly. It's almost a pleasant sensation of like emptiness in my stomach. And so I can usually differentiate real physical hunger from cravings or from head hunger. So if that's not where you are, then I would want to help you troubleshoot. Um, but it's okay to be hungry. Like the human body needs fuel, we need nourishment. So don't worry if you can't, fast for 12 days without being hungry. But again, if you're hungry like all day, that's an issue that we would maybe want to figure out. Uh, oh, Dolores or Dolly. Hey, Dolly. Hello, Dolly. You probably get that a lot. I played in the band in a community theater production of Hello, Dolly a really long time ago. That's a great show. Okay. Dolores says, do you find that carnivore or strict keto under 20 total carbs long term is needed if you've had decades of insulin resistance on a standard American diet and you're trying to avoid Alzheimer's? I actually don't. It's kind of like, so Dolly, I don't know when you joined the broadcast, but earlier I was saying how a strict ketogenic diet, we can think of it as sort of a corrective diet. It's a healing diet. Once you've healed, you might not need such a strict healing protocol anymore. Some people who have been, very obese, very, severely diabetic, if I can use that term, like really, very, very high A1C sort of thing. They can do keto for a while. And eventually they might get to a point where they can increase their carbohydrate intake and not regain weight, not have their blood sugar go crazy. Will they ever be able to go back to eating as much carbohydrate as they were before? No. Like that person can probably never go to the Olive Garden and have the breadsticks and the fettuccine and the cheesecake, but can they eat a little bit more carbohydrate? Probably. Not everybody. Very individual. Some people can't. They'll find that just the littlest bit of something maybe triggers massive cravings or sends their blood sugar through the roof. But I don't think that strict keto is required forever, even if somebody was, very bad off in terms of health and stuff. Regarding Alzheimer's, I don't think so. Everybody, I wrote a book about Alzheimer's disease. Let me see. Look, I have copies here of everything. I don't know why I don't show you them all. Okay. So I've mentioned this book several times, End Your Carb Confusion. This is where Dr. Westman and I talk about starting with keto and then, gradually at some point experimenting with increasing your carbohydrate intake. And then this is my first book, baby, The Alzheimer's Antidote. If this book came out in 2017, so like quite a few years ago, before keto was all the rage. And if I had it to do again, if I could rename this book, I'd probably call it Keto for Alzheimer's because it would have sold far more. Anyway, you can find all these on Amazon. I don't think that strict keto is required to reduce risk for Alzheimer's. And I will always say reduce risk because I am not comfortable saying that keto prevents Alzheimer's. We don't know. We don't know. Does it reduce risk? Yes, I do feel pretty confident saying that a ketogenic diet can reduce risk for Alzheimer's, but a keto diet is not required to reduce risk because look at all the healthy people all around the world that age well into their 80s, 90s with all their faculties intact, and they're not on keto diets. Look at these, like 90-year-old Italian women that have been eating pasta their lives and fruit and vegetables, and these people in Japan that live really long and they're eating rice and they're eating noodles. So I don't think when this question comes up and I'm giving talks at conferences, I often say, strict keto might not be required, but what I do think is required is eating and living in such a way that keeps your blood sugar and insulin within a healthy range. And the amount of carbohydrate that any one of us can eat and still achieve that will be different. So I hope that makes sense. You could eat strict keto if you want to, but I don't think an occasional, bowl of cherries is going to cause Alzheimer's. Catholic Carnivore for Life says, my insulin spikes with all sweeteners, allulose, stevia, monk fruit extract. Is there such a thing as the body healing and then not spiking later on? So I think you're talking about blood sugar rather than insulin because you can't really know if your insulin is spiking. I would also, how are you defining a spike? I would want to know how much is your blood sugar rising? If it's only a little bit, I would really not worry and I would kind of consider that negligible. So I want to know how are you defining a spike? And it could also be make sure that you is it those actual sweeteners or are they combined with something? Like, for example, monk fruit is almost always blended with erythritol. Stevia is often blended with erythritol. So maybe it's the erythritol that's the issue, or, you can get isolated stevia or monk fruit, but it's hard to find. So it could be another issue. So again, Catholic Carnivore, you say, my blood sugar seems to not spike much, but then I test my insulin and it's up. Do you mean like a fasting insulin level at the doctor's office? How are you measuring insulin? Because I really want to understand what you're talking about. Oh, fasting insulin at the doctor's every month. Are you sure it's the sweeteners? And fasting insulin is a little volatile. It's not always going to be the same every day, or if you're only getting it tested once a month, it's going to vary a little bit. So, okay, they say they test it every month, they experiment. Okay, so, well, I mean, how much is it rising when you use that? Like your insulin is going from what do you consider low or normal, and it jumps 30 points. Your fasting insulin jumps 30 points? I'm sorry, everyone. I'm just fascinated by this. So we're going back and forth. Yes. Okay. I don't know. That's really interesting, Catholic Carnivore. I don't know why it's doing that. That's a question for Ben Bickman, maybe. But you're Catholic Carnivore. What are you eating allulose for anyway? You're on the carnivore diet. Just kidding. You eat whatever the heck you want. Okay, let me see if I missed some other questions because then we'll close out soon. Nancy Kaplan wants to know my view on intermittent fasting. I will tell you what we say. Oh, sorry. In End Your Carb Confusion. I think that, so I'm not a big fan of people imposing arbitrary eating windows upon themselves, like I'm only allowed to eat between 12 and 6 or between 10 and 4 or whatever it is. I don't like that. What I would, it's, if somebody's doing that and they enjoy it and they're happy with the results they're getting, great. Like that's the number one rule. If something's working, do it. But if it's working and you enjoy it and you can see yourself doing it for a longer term. If something's working, but you hate every second of it and you're miserable and you're like, God damn, I can't eat till 4 o'clock, but I'm so hungry. Like that's what I don't want. And so if somebody's on a ketovore, carnivore diet, and their hunger is so well controlled to the point that they just skip meals now and then because they're just not hungry, that I like, that I can support, but I don't want somebody to force themselves to go without food when they are genuinely hungry. So clear as mud, probably clear as mud. Yeah. But again, if somebody does have a specific window and that works, fine. But I also, and I think we talk about this in End Your Carb Confusion, where even if you typically have a window that you stick to, a certain number of hours, or you only eat between noon and 8 p.m. or whatever it is, don't be wedded to that every single day, 365 days a year. It's okay to change things up for a wedding, for your birthday, for a special event, for vacation. Like all of these strategies and tools should serve us, not the other way around. And Jason Fung, the king of fasting, says this all the time. Fasting should fit into your life, not the other way around. You don't want to rearrange your whole life around your fasting window. So again, another 10-minute answer to a 10-second question. Yes, ABBA for life. Totally agree. You've got to make it sustainable so you don't give up later. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. If eating windows work for people, great. But if it causes someone to stress, they hate it, they're hungry all the time, they won't stick with it. Exactly. Okay, one more thyroid question. Spot 31 says, been keto for years. Recent blood work have shown my thyroid is slow. I'm on levothyroxine and feeling more hungry. So you're more hungry, but and your thyroid, you low thyroid, but I care much more about your symptoms. It's great that you have the lab tests. I want to know how you feel. If you feel well and you don't have a lot of low thyroid symptoms, then this isn't a problem. It's really interesting, the spectrum at which people can operate with various thyroid hormone levels. Some people can come to me with numbers that I'm like, oh, how are you even alive? How are you getting up off the floor? And they feel amazing. So what should we go by? The numbers on the lab test, or that this person is like active, loving life, healthy? So if you, yeah, that would be my, I'm more concerned about how you feel. But levothyroxine, Spot, I'm gonna post a link to a thyroid video that I did, and it's going to explain to you why levothyroxine might not be the best medicine for you. But again, if you feel well and you're taking it, then it's fine. I just see people all the time who are on that particular medication who it's not really working for them. Oh, Spot says I'm feeling quite all right. Okay. Let's not fix something that's not a problem then. And I'm not a doctor, of course. That's not medical advice. If your doctor is concerned, you have a discussion with them, but you really want to, take into account how you feel symptom-wise. Okay. If you see me doing this, everybody, I need to get a better setup. The way that it is right now, my webcam is right in front of the chat window. So like to see all the comments, I have to do this. Oh gosh. Oh, Dolores says, why don't I like eating windows? I think I covered that already. You probably asked that before I got into it. So, okay, we are just at the hour mark. I think I'm going to end it here. But again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your excellent questions and comments. I'm so glad so many of you found me after those 2 failed attempts earlier. Spread the word far and wide about keto without the crazy. Like I said earlier, there's some very slimy, scammy influencers who are making a ton of money profiteering off of your fear and your anxiety. And I'm not a fan of that. I try not to do it myself ever. I am committed to helping people return to or restore keto without the crazy. Check out the merch store. There's a link, like in every video that I do, there's a link to the merch store. In the pinned comment, feel free to download that free guide to the carnivore diet. And that's it. Go enjoy the rest of your Wednesday and stay cool, everybody.